Global travel has increased the spread of disease. Globalization-related factors of increased travel, international trade, and worldwide communication have affected patterns of the spread of the disease. The ability to have trade with other countries enables the transfer of medications and treatments for those affected by HIV and AIDS. As the disease has moved into different countries, the ability to trade with other countries and provide medications as well as education helps to curb the outbreaks to a certain extent, more than if the trade agreements weren't available. Far-reaching air travel, aided by improvements in aircraft technology, allow longer nonstop flights, and this facilitates the spread of communicable diseases. Even though southern Africa and the Great Lake regions of eastern Africa remain the areas of the world hardest hit by the HIV/AIDS pandemic, there is a growing rate of infection in other areas. Areas such as Nigeria and Ethiopia, the largest African countries, may be at a point where the epidemic is about to become more serious over the next few years. Um, HIV and AIDS has also spread rapidly into Russia as well as the Ukraine. This has been associated with the opening of the Eastern Europe borders of the Eastern European countries. Most new infections in Russia appear to be linked to injection drug use, but several other factors, including high rates of unemployment, disintegrating public health infrastructure, also have a part to play in that. Russia's increase in high rates of unemployment and public health infrastructure and the general poor status of healthcare services make this country vulnerable to further increases. On the other hand, given the high rate of literacy and general education throughout Russia, there is reason for optimism. Russia's extensive media links could be used to develop an active education program that could have a significant impact in a fairly short period of time. There's also an impact with HIV and AIDS in China. The Chinese government and news media have recently focused much more attention on HIV/AIDS than in the past, suggesting that the situation is worrisome and that the government is becoming aware of the potential risk. Travel has increased the rate in which HIV/AIDS has moved from continent to continent and country to country. Increased travel, international, worldwide, have affected the patterns of the spread of disease in every country in the world. The disease has already orphaned 12 million children in Africa, and the number could grow to a staggering 40 million in the next few years. The rapid spread of HIV/AIDS is linked with globalization, which makes it easier for people to travel and may promote more risk behaviors. Also, modern communication could be the most profound changes that have taken place during the past 10 years. Um, the globalization of ideas and information that are facilitated through the revolution in information technology, the internet, satellite television broadcasts, and high-speed data links across the globe have increased access to all kinds of information, even in the remote corners of the world. And despite earlier concerns about digital divide that would further disadvantage the poor, these fears have been overestimated. The reality is that this divide is narrowing between rich and poor countries that have increasing access to cell phone communication and the internet. The success of the food and tobacco industries have been closely linked to the information revolution. And although better access to information is certainly a good thing, it also creates fears that freely available scientific information might be abused by terrorists, giving basically everyone who is interested access to the full sequences of human pathogen genomes. And ongoing trend towards open access of public research and even ongoing research activities for new drugs pose a serious dilemma with important implications for global health. It's well accepted that diet plays a significant role in chronic disease such as cancer, heart disease, and diabetes. Healthcare tends to treat infectious disease with vaccines, drugs, and other similar methods. However, the link between non-communicable and communicable diseases may not be as exclusive as once thought. Rates for both types of diseases are rising simultaneously in Africa, Asia, and elsewhere. The United States Department of State reports that non-communicable diseases account for 7 out of every 10 deaths in the United States. These conditions can impair the immune system, making us susceptible to other conditions and complicating how we approach the illness. The globalization of trade is particularly relevant for providing health services for diabetes that have become a commodity that can be traded in distinct ways. First, health services can be provided across borders, including a range of telemedicine tools such as telediagnostics and teleradiology, as well as medical consultation through traditional electronic channels. Second, patients can travel abroad to receive health care or use certain facilities. The UK government recently allowed UK patients to seek treatment in the European Economic Area. Other countries, including developing ones such as Cuba and India, openly advertise to attract foreign patients to their clinics and hospitals. And third, health services themselves have become an industry that attract foreign investments. Several transnational companies from developing and underdeveloped countries have created commercial health services through the purchase and establishment of hospitals. And fourth, the international movement of health personnel across borders has become a significant component of the trade in health services and has attracted considerable attention in the scientific regions. Travel, similar to trade, has had large effects with serious consequences for global health. People can now travel easily from country to country, receive medical and experimental treatments, and search for a cure for diabetes. Communication has also been a call for a global oversight to regulate and approve research on dangerous drugs. Participating governments can also seek national security against the benefits of open scientific communication. The modern methods of communication through cell phones and internet have provided multiple avenues of research and treatment for diabetes. People are able to now go online and they're able to do their own research and be able to search for alternate methods for treating the diabetes. The first example is how globalization has changed the methods needed to control the diseases from cruise ships. Cruise ship travel has also increased dramatically, with nearly 7 million people in North America traveling and cruising annually. Although cruise ships have increased in size and become better designed, they're still largely populated. The average duration of stay on one of these ships is about 2 incubation periods, which range from 3 to 10 days, for the microorganisms responsible for many emerging infectious diseases. These floating cities are where people gather from all over the world for short periods of time. They represent a unique environment for disease transmission, amplification, and dispersal. Large tourist populations not only serve as a potential source for rapid spread of disease, but are also very difficult to monitor. The travelers on board a cruise ship are at risk for contracting infectious diseases, and the people that they come into contact with when they leave the ship are also at risk. For example, the 1999 outbreak of the influenza A virus Sydney in Alaska had affected about 30,000 people, was preceded by the influenza A virus Sydney strain aboard a cruise ship the previous year. Vectors are usually introduced into new areas by vehicles used to transport people or commodities that are being transported. It has been demonstrated experimentally that a number of different disease vectors can survive in the wheel wells of a jet aircraft at high altitudes for long intercontinental flights. Mosquitoes also hitchhike on used car tires as they are being transported for retreading or other purposes. For example, the Asian tiger mosquito, a dengue virus vector, was introduced to the North American continent on rubber tires shipped to Houston. The United States-Mexico border is also a dumping ground for used tires, and it's an important breeding site for mosquitoes. Animal importations are another potential source. Each year, many United States ports of entry receive millions of animal importations from countries with a variety of diseases or an endemic. Another example is the global spread of antibiotic-resistant pneumococcus that was first identified in Spain in the early 1980s and rapidly jumped to South Africa and the USA before spreading to all other parts of the world. Each year, approximately 2 million people die in developing countries as a result of lower respiratory infections, mostly pneumonia. The exact origin of the pneumococcus strain is still unknown, but is likely to come from the Far East.